Now let's move over to the concept of leadership. Now I'm assuming that you do not know that, being fresh students, you may not know the difference between management and leadership, between a manager and a leader. And it's a very big topic. We cannot finish it in a few minutes, but I want to touch upon it. Okay, a manager is, there's a big difference. A manager has people working for them. A leader has people following them. A leader defines the vision and mission of the company, while a manager executes the mission and achieves the vision. And I could go on telling these things on and on. I don't want to confuse you more, because it's a whole different topic. The difference between management and leadership. And you can Google it. There's a lot of stuff there, and it's very important. You need to know that. Just you as management students are ideally expected to be a leader and a manager, and it is almost impossible. It takes genius to do that. Most people, almost everyone is not. Almost everyone I know is either more of a leader, less of a manager, more of a manager, less of a leader. I don't know of anyone who is both. Like Gandhi was a leader, he was not a manager. He did not manage work. He did not do any of this thing that you as management students will learn how to do in a systematic and methodical manner. But keep in mind the fact that that leadership and management are two different but related concepts, and we'll see in the next few slides how they're related, how they're different. Okay. So here is something with a Venn diagram I'll explain to you. So on the left, I have manager. What does he do? He does planning, organizing, controlling, coordinating, counting. Counting is something important. I'll explain in a few minutes. A leader, on the other hand, he exercises influence on you. He motivates you, inspires you. He mentors you. He coaches you. And he doesn't count, he creates. Now, what is the difference between counting and creating? A manager spends a lot of his time counting, or rather, what does he count? Production reports, budgets, profitability. He doesn't sit down and count something, but he spends a lot of time, and you will be spending a lot of time looking at reports or dashboards or screens full of numbers. And you need to make some sense out of it. You need to know the trends, the indications, so that you can take good decisions for your company. A leader typically doesn't spend time looking at all those numbers. He inspires at a much higher level. Okay. Now there is something which both a leader and a manager does, which is communicating. As good managers, if you do not communicate, you are not going to succeed. A leader, of course, has to communicate the vision. Only then followers will say, wow, that's a great vision to follow. Both manager, leader, they do decision making, they have to solve problems. And the important thing is, the very important commonality between a manager and a leader, what really unites them is, they are both trying to drive their followers, their company towards a desirable outcome. In a company, the desirable outcome is growth, higher profitability, acquiring new skills, launching new branches. Okay. So enough. So I want you to, this is a big topic. You can Google it. You can email me later. I can send you stuff. But I just want you to have this takeaway in your mind that there is a difference between a leader and a manager. And ideally, you are required to be both. But very few of you, or probably none of you, will be both. You'll either be a stronger manager or a stronger leader, and that's okay. So a few little points, like a manager manages work, while a leader leads people. A manager has subordinates. A leader has followers. A manager creates a circle of power that you are my people, my department, you do what I tell you. A leader doesn't have a circle of power, he has a circle of influence. People who listen to him, people who respect him, people who are motivated by him, people who admire him, and they follow him. They like to listen to him. Okay, and lastly but not least, the manager has to control. A leader typically doesn't control, he motivates. Let's move on. So let's look at leadership style and analyze. We have seen the management style in the industrial age. And here on the screen, I have given 10 common leadership styles. We don't have the time to go through all of them, but some of them are self-explanatory, and I will discuss a few as we go along. So let us try and see how the management style of the industrial age mapped onto leadership, established leadership styles. First thing is hierarchical and the need to follow orders. That indicates an autocratic style of leadership. Okay, so the typical leadership style during the industrial age was autocratic. Second thing, bureaucratic. There's no surprise there. We talked a lot about bureaucracy. So bureaucratic leadership style was another aspect of the industrial age. And thirdly, the reward and punishment mechanism is for the transactional leadership style. A transactional leader makes you do things, and in exchange, he gives you something. You do something for him, you get something. And it's very clear, and it works for a lot of companies, a lot of people. You do this, there's a bonus. You do this, there's a promotion or whatever. So the reward and punish, so that is the attribute of transactional leadership. So we can conclude that the industrial leadership style was based on these three attributes, mainly autocratic, bureaucratic, and transaction. And again, I've repeated the thing on the left-hand side that we are not here to criticize. It was suitable for the 20th century mindset. It benefited all of us. So we are here to observe what did work for many, many years in the industrial age. Now, mindset change. Between industrial age, digital age, what is the mindset that has changed? Different kind of people. You see the, the millennials are people who were born between 81 and 96. So those are the guys who are now between 26 to 41 years old, and all of them have come into the workforce, and they are now beginning to drive how work is done. A big part of the workforce today consists of millennials, and they are the guys launching startups, being successful, and even creeping towards higher level management positions in traditional large companies. So millennials think in a certain different way. I have it on the screen. I'm not going to, you can read it, but let's go through it a little bit. So they value motivation. They don't like to be told, hey, do this. They want to be motivated. They want to ask, why should I do it? In the olden days, nobody asked. If you ask why, you will get a bashing. What do you think? You become big? Don't challenge me, just go and do it. Today's the millennial, they want to know, why should I do this? Is it worth it for me? Is it good investment of my time? The millennial, and I think that includes all of you, and even some of us who have managed to change our mindset. We challenge the hierarchical mindset, top down, top down. Now there's a different paradigm, and we'll come to that in the next slide. The new workforce, doesn't think the CEO or the managing director is the god, and I have to, run away when I see him coming, and I have to pay respect to him, bow down to him, and say, hello, sir, thank you. They want to have a relationship with their superiors. Because knowledge is power. The new workforce has knowledge. Sometimes they have knowledge that their superiors don't have. They're more equal than unequal. So the new workforce places importance on relationships, developing a relationship with the superiors. Of course, they know in technology much more. The important thing is they are more open and adaptive to change. You see, I sometimes used to get angry with my people, and I used to tell in the meeting that we are here to discuss this, and one sentence I do not want to hear from any of you is, this is the way we have always done it. Doesn't matter. Maybe that's the way you always did it, but we have to change because it's not working. So this is the way we have always done it. Okay, that was inflexible, and that was justification of doing something in the same way because it has worked for the last 50 years. My parents did it the same way, their parents did it the same way. Who am I not to do it that way? The digital age changes all that. There's a mindset change. We have to adapt, we have to change, we have to recognize what worked in the past. That's what we are doing here in this session. But we have to, at the same time, keep in mind what worked yesterday may not work today. The world is changing too fast, too rapidly, in a big way. So we have to be adaptive to change. The new workforce, the millennials, all of you, some of us, we are ready to change. And all of us have a passion for learning, because what we know today may not apply tomorrow. New knowledge, new technology, new methodologies. By the time you begin your business school experience and you graduate in 2 years' time, unfortunately but true, and that's the good thing and the bad thing, some of the things you will be taught at the beginning of your course might, I'm saying might, I'm not saying it will, might become obsolete by the time you are ready to graduate. We don't know, but you have to be open to that idea. Things change, knowledge changes. Anyway, a lot of talk about mindset change.